Shalom, and welcome to Light of the Hill Ministries. Today, we will continue on the study of Genesis. If you want to follow along, I will be posting this in the comment box below. Head down, under the teaching. Yahweh Elohim formed the man out of the dust from the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of lives. And the man became a living being. Genesis 2, verse 7. Here we see that man is created in two parts, or natures. The flesh, or substance of man, comes from the dust of the earth. This is man's earthly, carnal nature. Yahweh formed man from the dust of the ground, and the Hebrew word that is translated as dust comes from the root word afar, Strong's number H6083, which means dry earth, dust, ground, soil. But there is a very important picture here, that is in verse 6. We see how the mist went up from the earth and watered the entire surface, after which Yahweh formed man. We must remember that before man was created, that the earth didn't have any rain to work the ground. Now, no shrub of the field was yet on the earth, and no plant of the field had yet sprung up. For Yahweh Elohim had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the entire surface of the ground. Genesis 2, verses 5 through 6. And it is water that would make the dust particles bind together. But just as water binds dust together, so too Yahweh's word binds us together in him as we are washed by it, in order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Ephesians 5, verse 26. But the life of man comes from the very breath of Yahweh. This is his spiritual nature. The Torah teaches that when the breath of Yahweh came into the dust of man, Adam became a living soul. It was not just breath for man himself, but here we see that he had breathed in the breath of many lives, showing that he was giving man the ability to produce after its kind, that which carries the breath of Yahweh. The Hebrew word that is translated living is chaya, which comes from the root word chai, Strong's number H2416, and means life, alive, living, flowing, fresh, running. In the ancient pictograph symbols of this word chai, we're given a greater insight and understanding of what life is. Chet is the first letter in chai, and in ancient script has this letter, as which is a tent wall, and carries a meaning of separation. As a tent wall separates two halves of the tent, or it can also reflect the outside walls that separates the people inside from that which is outside, and so can also symbolize protection and security to those inside, while picturing a cutting off of those who are outside. Hence, this letter can mean established, secure, as well as cut off, separated from. Yud is the next letter in the word Chai, and in the ancient script has this letter as an arm and hand, and carries the meaning of work, make, grow, from the primary functions of the arm and hand. And it also represents worship, or giving thanks in the extending of the hand as a gesture, as if to say, look at this. The work of one's hand is the basic meaning of this word. Combine these two letters, we get a meaning of separated to serve. Seeing this pictograph for life, we take note that having been redeemed from death to life, we're separated to serve Yahweh by guarding to do all that he commands us. What gives us our ability to be built up as a living stone in the Master is our continued obedience to walking in that which is our life, his Torah. Deuteronomy 32, verses 45 and 47 says, "And when Moshe ended speaking all these words to all Israel, he said to them, Set your heart on all the words which I warn you today, so that you command your children to guard to do all the words of this Torah. For it is not a worthless word for you, because it is your life. And by this word you prolong your days on the soil which you pass over the Jordan to possess." Just as Adam was formed from the dust of the ground and received the breath of life from Yahweh, so too we need to recognize how we are the clay and he is the potter, who not only forms and shapes us, but also gives us the breath of life. The Hebrew word that is translated as being is the word nefesh, Strong's H 5315, which means a soul, a living being, the inner being of a man. Without the breath of Yahweh, we are unable to become a living being. In order to manifest Yahweh in creation, Adam had to have a body and a soul. While most Eastern religion and Western asceticism teach that the ultimate goal of man is to escape or be free from the material body in order to become become a more pure spirit. The Torah, however, teaches that man is purposed to have a body. Without a body, man cannot fulfill his created purposes of being the manifest presence of Yahweh. While there's indeed a division between flesh and the spirit natures of man, the Torah never condemns the flesh, that is to say, the body, as evil or wicked. Our bodies were created by Yahweh for a purpose. Nowhere does it teach in the Torah that we are to shed our skin like a snake. Man needs both spirit and body to fulfill his purpose and calling. Man without the spirit of Yahweh is no different than the animals around him. Thus, we see that man is given both natures, spirit and animal. However, Adam was to manifest the image of Yahweh in the world. And in order to do that, he needed to exercise dominion over the animal realm. The animal nature is driven by instinct, sensual stimuli, appetites, and desires. The animal nature is about self-gratification and self-preservation. To some extent, Yahweh gives us these in order to help us preserve our bodies from harm. Pain and pleasure are two such gifts for Yahweh to help us sustain life. Without them, we would simply be unfeeling and may not feel love, or we may not feel pain and thus cause more damage to ourselves and others around us. Man was to be ruled by Yahweh. He was to have a specific relationship to him. Yahweh would instruct Adam, and in turn Adam would do as instructed. And the instructions were simple. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, "Be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over all creepy creatures on the earth." And Elohim said, "See, I have given you every plant that yields seed which is on the face of the earth, and every tree fruit yields for seed. To you it is food." Genesis 1, verses 28 to 29. And Yahweh Elohim commanded man, saying, "Eat of every tree of the garden, but do not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, for in that day that you eat of it, you shall certainly die." Genesis 2, verses 16 through 17. But the problem is that man broke the rules and is ruled by his animal nature and not by Yahweh's spirit. Thus they have distorted the image that they were to bear unto their children. And so the image that they gave their children shattered, and they in turn gave a shattered image to their children, and so went on for generations. Because of that, our relationship to each other has been distorted. And all relationships are a symbol of our relationship to Yahweh. Why? Because we all bear the image of Yahweh. But all of us carry broken mirrors of that image. Despite our corruption, Yahweh does not want us to lose our destiny as creatures made in His image. Therefore, He sent His Son Yahushua, the second Adam, to repair that broken image. And so it has been written, the first Adam became a living being, the last Adam a life-giving spirit. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 45. For if by the trespass of the one death did reign through the one, much more those who receive the overflowing favor and the gift of righteousness shall reign in life through the one, Yahushua Messiah. Romans 5, verse 17. Through Yahushua, the image of Yahweh can be restored in every man and woman and to every relationship. No human being is excluded from this gift because He came and lived among us. This takes a dying of self and surrendering to Yahushua. It is at the tree that Yahushua died, and it is there that we too need to die. We need to bury our sin nature, the nature that began with our first parents. We need to impale the old man, sin, with him. For if we have come to be grown together in the likeness of His death, we shall also of the resurrection, knowing this, that our old man was impaled with Him, so that the body of sin might be rendered powerless to serve sin no longer. For he who has been made right, for he who has died has been made right from sin. And if we died with Messiah, we believe that we shall also live with Him, knowing that Messiah, having been raised from the dead, dies no more. Death no longer rules over Him. Romans 6, verses 5 through 9. We have been made right with Yahweh, and therefore the image of Yahweh is being restored and will be restored the moment we are all resurrected. Those who rely on Messiah's atonement have this hope within themselves. Just as Yahweh gave the first man and woman peace and joy in the Garden of Eden, He gives every believer the task of working toward the new creation of His kingdom. To carry out this task, we must joyfully accept the rule of Yahweh in our lives, Torah, and walk as Yahushua walked, doing the things He did. This is how we repair the image of Yahweh in our lives. It is the life task of every person to prepare to meet Yahweh who created us. Yahushua tells us how to do this when He says, and the king shall answer and say to them, Amen. I say to you, insofar as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. Matthew 25, verse 40. It is in this we begin to repair Yahweh's image in the world by doing unto others like we are doing it unto Yahushua. We must also remember that in our work in restoring the image of Yahweh in the world, we need to grasp more deeply the eternally healing words of Yahushua, teaching them to guard all that I have commanded you, and see, I am with you always until the end of the age. Amen. Matthew 28, verse 20. And because He is always with us, He understands that we're all shattered images that won't be fully repaired until we are all resurrected. It is then that we will all be fully the image of Yahweh. It is here that we can begin to build up the body of Messiah with patience and understanding, knowing each of us is a broken image of Yahweh. In Yahushua there is life. In Him our lives and our relationship can be purified from all that burdens us, and Yahweh's image in us can be restored. Hallelujah. If you like this teaching, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and click on the notification button of the next teaching. Yahweh bless, and shalom to your homes.